Future tomorrow, together. Think next. Think next.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all to this edition right here in Mechelen of Think Next. Round of applause. Thank you. To start with, it's great to see you all here. We're happy to have you here, of course, and the fact that you're here in such huge numbers proves one thing. Think Next today is responding to a clear need, and that, of course, is what we aim for today with these plenary sessions. We're going to experience another particularly interesting afternoon together, and you will see that there's a lot on our program. We're going to debate with a lot of customers, with partners, experts from Proximus Next as well, here on stage. And on the other hand, we will delve deeper into a very wide range of topics during the breakout sessions. We already had 12 breakout sessions with 12 subjects. We have another 12 who will follow this afternoon. I will later on explain today how this will go on and how it will be set up for you all. On the other hand, we regret to inform you that our speaker, Jeroen Baert, will not be attending this edition of Think Next, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances. Now, I can sense right now that you're all keen on knowing what's going to happen today and this afternoon. So first off, I would like to introduce to you the CEO of Proximus Next IT and Corporate Segment Lead. She will give us a look in the emerging trends in technology that are set to shape the industry in the coming years. Please welcome Anne-Sophie Lotgering. The stage is yours. I made it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Goedemiddag. Bonjour à tous. I am absolutely honored to be here on stage at this second edition of Think Next here in Mechelen, an event who has for objective to showcase what's best in technology. It's been more than a year since we've launched Proximus Next, and your presence here shows us how much we've been able to do, but also on the fact that we see an optimist future ahead of us. Now, before I move into the general session and my specific speech, I wanted to take a few seconds to really thank all of the partners, all of our partners in the ecosystem who are here today, because without these partners, this event would not happen. So please join me in giving them a warm thank you applause. So, what I wanted to talk to you about, and was nicely introduced by Ben, is indeed what's happening in our industry and what we should take out of it in terms of key trends. First of all, if you look at the IT spending in Benelux and the rest of the European region, Gartner predicts that the IT spending will continue on increase by 8.7%, reaching a staggering $1.3 trillion, which encompasses how much and how vital digital transformation has become as we each and every one of us strive to build a resilient digital future. In the industry today, we see 5 key ICT trends. None of those will probably be that surprising to you, but what I thought I could do today is highlight what those trends are and then provide you the relevance of Proximus and our ecosystems of partners within those trends, but also for you as business leaders and IT professionals be able to bring those back and understand whether or not they're in your roadmap today and how, for the short and mid-term, you need to integrate them, building your digital transformation roadmaps. So without further ado, let me start. So the first one is around 5G, or what I like to call the lightning highway of connectivity. So we all know what 5G brings in terms of unequaled connectivity, in terms of ultra-low latency, and also in terms of massive device connectivity. But 5G is not just about connectivity. It's about the transformation that it has in terms of impact on business models. Let me give you an example. If you look in the public safety space, or that specific vertical, 5G enables real-time communication and data sharing in critical moments of time where you need enhanced situational awareness and you need immediate response time. And you probably saw in this sector what we're doing just outside of this stage in the sector of health. Also, when you host an event, if you need 5G bandwidth on demand, that's also going to be available. 5G, therefore, as I was saying, is not just about connectivity, but it's really about us working with business leaders to make sure that we're able to deliver the 5G use cases that transform the businesses. If I continue on this trend and I'll move on to the second, it's really around how we drive Industry 4.0. 5G indeed provides ultra-fast connectivity, ultra-low latency, which means that edge devices who need to communicate and process data can do so even now with applications that need immediate response time. The IT-OT integration has reached a tipping point, and companies have for years been driving IT and OT convergence. What's new is that unified data management approaches have meant the creation of new industrial platforms in verticals such as Industry 4.0, manufacturing, logistics, and utilities. This is particularly relevant because those data platforms provide data insights that then enable the company to decide on how they can operate better their operational efficiency and save costs. For those of you who were at the breakout session of this morning with iCare, this was demonstrated in the session called Data Insights via 5G Connectivity, where you could see that data from the wireless sensors is captured and then used to provide real-time insights predictively on whether an industrial facility will have issues or not. Moving then to the next trend, you won't be surprised, it's around AI. I think it's fair to say that everyone's talking about AI, and AI is actually really transforming the businesses in we operate today. Gartner predicts that in 2025, 90% of businesses worldwide will have AI as a workforce partner. Now, of course, businesses can decide whether or not they want to implement AI at their own pace. But what everyone agrees on is the rewards that AI will bring, whether it's around increased productivity, whether it's around cost effectiveness, or whether it's around, of course, making sure that you have a better, enhanced, personalized customer experience. Now, of course, AI comes in very different flavors, such as generative AI that have impact on organization-wide processes. But you also have other types of AI, which basically make sure that you really change the way that you process, store, and manage your data. Companies need to basically make their businesses AI-ready and need to consider an agentic infrastructure. This is what Gartner recommends. And here, we'd very much like you to explore all those opportunities with us. We've been investing in AI at Proximus for quite a number of years. We have more than 130 use cases that are available, showing return on investment, and we're also deploying numerous use cases with our customers. As you know, with our affiliates, Codit and ADA, we have more than 300 experts that can enable you to make your business AI ready, and then look at how we can help you bring those AI use cases to life. The fourth trend is around cyber resilience and preparing for post-quantum threats. As you know, every year, Proximus publishes a cybersecurity report. In 2024, this report was published, and we surveyed our customers and businesses in Luxembourg and in Belgium, and 2/3 of those companies surveyed said that they had suffered a cyber attack, and half of those actually had operational impact coming out of it, showing that cyber resilience continues to be absolutely paramount and key. Protecting your data and your digital infrastructure are paramount. Quantum computing is a trend that we have not yet seen fully materializing yet. However, we know that it will have a major impact on cyber resilience. By 2029, it is estimated that quantum computing will have an impact on all of the cryptographic processes that are available already today, and they will no longer be there surplus, and they will be surplus for requirements. So as you think about how to make your organization quantum safe, please don't hesitate to talk to some of our experts in this field, including those that you probably saw in the breakout session this morning. I will then move on to the next trend, which is around digital sovereignty. Digital sovereignty is not just a priority, it is a strategic imperative. In a data-driven environment, making sure that your data is protected, making sure your infrastructure is protected are absolutely key. And by embracing digital sovereignty, you are then able to not only protect your intellectual property, you're also able to comply to local regulation, whatever that might be. In an ever-evolving world where regulation actually continues on evolving, we have to cope with NIS 2, DORA, the EU Act, the AI Act. Proximus can really help customers and companies become much more compliant. And this was also one of the showcases that was given at a general session this morning. So please don't hesitate to consult all these experts on those trends so that we can see how we can actually build together a secure, resilient future. Now, this being said, what I wanted to do is quickly wrap up by saying that I really hope that all of you not only actually understood, but also see how some of those key critical trends can be infused in your roadmaps, not only for today, but also for tomorrow. Please take the time to make sure that you visit all of the different stands that we have available with our partners, reflecting those key trends. Think Next is for us about shaping the future together. And as we want to make it the flagship CIO event for CIOs and IT and business professionals, I want to thank you all very much for being here, and I hope that you will find the excitement and the expertise and the skills that you came in to look for. Now, without further ado, having given you those trends, I'd like to introduce you to the next panel of gentlemen who will be coming on stage. We have 3 of our customers here to provide us with their expertise, insights as to how they see the world evolving from their point of view. So please join me in warmly welcoming Régis Pitolet, the CIO of iCity. Then we have Bjorn, the CIO of Fednot, and last but not least, Arnaud Lieutenant, the CIO of the RBFA, accompanied by our corporate segment and marketing tribe lead, Christophe Crous. So thank you all very much for having listened to me so patiently. And without further ado, please, warm welcome to our 4 panel speakers. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon everybody, and welcome to TIC Next. As said by Anne-Sophie, that's really our flagship event throughout the year, where we welcome all of the IT professionals, industry leaders, our partners, to really have an open discussion on the trends and what's happening in the world of IT. And of course, a special thanks to my esteemed guests in this panel discussion, three well-known and respected industry leaders, CIOs today, that you might all know, but please give me a few minutes to introduce all of them. So let me start with Arnaud Lieutenant. Arnaud is actually the CIO of the RBFA. For those of you who don't know what RBFA is, it's basically the Royal Belgium Football Association. So basically you can think of Arnaud as the CIO of Romelu Lukaku and Kevin De Bruyne. But not only that, next to that, in his spare time, I would say he's also driving innovation in the industry of sports. And you can think of digital innovation like the VAR, also well known by most of you in the audience, I would say, but also sports operations, how should I say it? Excuse me, everything related to the sports experience that you can enjoy in a state every week. Second, Régis Pitolet. Régis is actually the CIO of our capital. It's the CIO of the iCity, and Régis is basically responsible for the digitalization of how the citizens of Brussels really experience the government services, the city services, on a daily basis. And I'm also can say that Régis has been awarded with CDO of the Year in 2023. And has also been awarded with Project of the Year in 2023. And 2023 was a good year for you, with the app called Bruce. Bruce is really the app, he will talk about it later in the discussion, where the interaction is done between Brussels and the citizens, if I can call it like that. And last but not least, Bjorn Van Reet, today CIO of the Federation of Notaries, but before also known as the CIO of Kinepolis. And as CIO of Kinepolis, you were also another CDO of the Year in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Yep. And on top of that, also CIO of the Year in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's voilà. Right. And Bjorn is now working for the Federation of Notaries since a bit more than a year now, and there his role is really to drive also digitalization in a field of the notaries, where we will talk about. So thank you all three for being here. It's really a pleasure to have this discussion with you. So first off, to kick things up a little bit, Bjorn, how do you see evolving the role of CIO in today's, I would say, digital transformation in a context that is rapidly changing? How do you see a role? What's important for a CIO in the role today?
Yep. Okay, so first of all, good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for the invitation of being here. How do I see the role of CIOs evolving? I think we as CIOs or IT departments always, I like to talk about business value. How do we create business value for the companies that we are working in? And I think we all three are doing that with a few, how do you say, balls in our backpack. So the first ball is, yeah, of course, ourselves with our experience that we have. Secondly, with the technologies, so with everything that also Anne-Sophie mentioned, so you have some new technologies, AI, 5G coming up, and you also have some threats, the security threats and everything. So that's the second ball where we are playing with to try and create the value. And then I think what you also would hear in this chat probably is the context, meaning the context of all of us at the company where we work for, because yeah, that's the window where we try to look and create, of course, value for the company, being with technology. To answer a bit your question, how do I feel that the role of a CIO is evolving? I think it's evolving at the same speed that technology is evolving for me. So just take the example of the internet, where in Web 1.0 you had this one-way communication. So the company just took their sales brochure, asked the technical guys or the CIOs, put it online, we put it online, and the job was done. So we were very technical, meaning keeping the lights on. Was there really added business value? Question mark. If you then take it one step further with Web 2.0, you already had this bi-directional communication, meaning that you publish something, your clients could respond to it. Remember all the discussions about the Google reviews, where companies were publicly given feedback by their customers. And on top of that, you could do business. So again, there was a whole business opportunity. Again, if you look at the role of the CIO, in my feeling, becoming from somebody is keeping the lights on, technology-driven, more to a kind of business partner for the business. And if you then look ahead about Web 3.0, you know, I think this is where a CIO needs to inspire the business and lead the change. No. So I think if you look at that, this is how I feel from, you know, a technical CIO to a business enabler, to a business driver or inspirer for the company. I think this is how I feel that the role is evolving, and please adapt if you love to.
Yeah, of course, a lot of things have been said already, but yeah, of course, the world is changing very fast, and we need to adapt quickly. And of course, the ecosystem is changing also. Okay, we have constraints, a lot more constraints, like you know, budget constraints. We need to do more and more with the same amount of budget, and the fact that they're asking more money or more people to do more things, it cannot continue like that. You know, we have also security and regulatory rules which are coming, so we need also to adapt to that, and of course technical constraints which are still here, and we need to drive that. And of course, the key things is to really get closer from the business, to really understand the business unit and propose solutions in order to be more efficient. And I think the role of CIO today is also to encourage, in my context, in public sector, you know, to really encourage to invest in technology in order to simplify, optimize, and improve the service that we offer to citizens in general.
Yeah, I think you've already said quite a lot. For me, what I see changing in our role as CIOs is the fact that there's actually plenty of new opportunities. I think that all the trends that were explained by Anne-Sophie are a clear example of you know, all the possibilities. And for me, I guess that one of our biggest challenges is how can we make good choices amongst all these new possibilities? Because if you want to drive innovation, you need to also accept that certain initiatives will fail. We will have to experiment, we will have to test and try. And if we truly want to keep creating value and, like you said, help our organization to keep creating value for our customer, we need to make wise choices, I believe. And today, that's one of the biggest challenges I see today.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. So maybe a first question on topic. I think Proximus Next is best known for our connectivity, be it 5G, be it fiber, and our ambition is really to provide our customers with a robust, reliable network. Arnaud, maybe can you explain a little bit how important is such a reliable, robust network for the RBFA?
Absolutely. Connectivity is critical for business. And maybe just to put things in perspective, might be good to share some numbers with you. You know, football is the largest sports federation in Belgium. We have more than 500,000 members. Just also to give another number that I feel is interesting, we are organizing almost 10,000 games every single weekend, right? And this ranges from professional games, so games from the Pro League, to the lowest level amateur game. So think about that. Every single weekend, we need to organize these games. We need to, you know, schedule, you know, these games. We need to collect the results. We need to designate a referee. We need to collect, you know, the result and eventually start a disciplinary process if needed. So all this is creating a huge amount of transaction. And if the connectivity between our different, you know, servers and all the clubs who are organizing, you know, these 10,000 games would fail, that would create, you know, a critical problem for a lot of people in Belgium. I'm sure that a lot of the people in the room are spending time over the weekend with football activities. So on the amateur level, this is crucial. But connectivity is also extremely important at professional level. Think about today the importance of the VAR. The VAR, which is the video-assisted referee.
Very popular.
Yeah. Very popular, and I will not comment. I will not make... what I can just tell you is that it truly helped to increase the accuracy of the decision. This is the fact. It's not yet 100%. It will probably never be the case, but it's definitely creating a real impact on the way we play the game. But just again, to give a concrete example, And probably you don't know that. But today, the VAR is operated from our Proximus base camp in Tubize. So it means that every single weekend, we have teams of referees who are actually doing their job out of the Proximus base camp center.
So they are not in the States, they are
They are
remotely.
not in the stadium, exactly. So it means that every single stadium in Belgium has a direct line connected with Tubize so that we can take live decision and we can assist the referee who is on the pitch with, to take the correct decision. So I'll let you imagine if there are some latency, if there are some lags, if for whatever reason the stream does not work anymore, it's going to create quite a lot of frustration. Huh? And I think there's enough when the VAR needs to be consulted, it's already creating a lot of emotion. So for us, connectivity is extremely strategic in our daily operations.
So just for the audience, Arnaud cannot influence the VAR. So you don't have to go talk to him for your football. So Bjorn, maybe the same question for you. For the notaries, if you think about notaries, maybe you don't necessarily think about a robust network, but I think that's wrong, right?
I think the context is different. Maybe setting a bit the context, I think in Belgium we have 1,200 locations, notary offices in Belgium, and they're all connected, of course. And we have 10,000 people working in the notary industry. That's what we have, that's setting our context so far. And knowing one of the trends that we probably talk later as well on is cloud computing. So we see that everything is moving into a cloud, public cloud, private cloud, whatever. So the first thing to say, okay, if you're just in this notary office and the connectivity drops, 10,000 people cannot work. So this is why it's so important to keep 10,000 people working. That's maybe the easiest way of doing that thing. But also for your customers. I think in our case it's a bit different, but again, imagine that you and your wife are buying a house, going to that notary office, you're actually well received, a notary is hopefully presenting you a glass of champagne for this moment to sign that contract and saying, okay, I'm going to buy that house for a lot of money. And at that moment, the notary is saying, sorry, Christophe, we cannot sign the deed because there is no internet. I think from a customer impact, it's dropping down. So I think that for keeping the people working, that's very important. Secondly, the customer experience. Thirdly, for me as well, the reputation of the IT department, because honestly, I think if your basics are not functioning, I was just explaining on creating value, how do you open a dialogue with your Raad van Bestuur or with your key members? If the basics are actually failing a few times a week, you can't do that. So also for the IT department, that might be an issue. And last but not least for me, I think this is why we're here as well. I think this network is owned by you guys. You're doing a good job for us every day to keep it up. And this is for me where I would like to rely on good partners, meaning that I would like to keep my people focused on the business, on creating that business value, to create that communication with my end users. And this is where you need a reliable partner who is actually keeping that network operational. But without this partnership, the whole discussion about added value falls apart for us so far.
In our context is also is a bit it's the same. So we also need important network connection for the administration itself and also for the citizen. Our platform, the new digital platform is fully based on is fully cloud based and is available 24 hours. And so for the city of Brussels, most of the interaction are done outside of business hours, so it needs to be available and stuff. Also, we're also dealing with we're bringing digitalization within the schools, and now they're giving like a hybrid mode education. So if the network is not available, it's also impacting us very deeply. Yeah.
So it's commodity, but if it doesn't work, it's a disaster. And next to that, I remember that I should have offered you a glass of champagne on the stage, but that's for another time. Another key role, I think, as CIO, sometimes the I stands for innovation, is really adapting to change. I think it's really key. You come with digital transformation, digital innovation. It has many names. Régis, at ICT, and a complex political sometimes environment. How do you drive this change? How do you manage that complexity?
I think maybe let me explain why is this so complex. Because you know, when you want to offer like end-to-end services to citizens, in our case, we need to interact with Belgium dilemma because we need to get services from federal government, from regional government, from municipality. You know, so we need to interact with a different level of maturity and so on. The administration itself has two captains in the boat. You know, one political one and one general director. You know, so you always have to steer in this world. But I think the main thing is the why. You know, to have a clear vision, clear objective. You know, to know why you're doing this. You know, and for us, it's to have a digitally connected city where all citizens easily have access and services. You know. And this is implemented in our book, in the majority book. So when you read the book of the City of Brussels, you see like inclusion, digital, you know, one shop, digital first, you know, one shop, 360 things. And behind that, you really need to have a really strong sponsorship in order to help us, because of course it's moving, you know. And you need also to set up a proper governance. Okay, it's theory, but it's like that because, you know, it's changing fast, you know, and you need to anticipate the new needs. You need to have proper process to adapt and to prioritize, you know, and to adapt constant. And of course, what you need is clear communication with the business, being close from the business. This has been said, you know, to anticipate all this. And of course, you need your Rambo team with a proper mindset in order to adapt and be able to deliver a proper value straight away. But it's it's a really it's complex, but fun on the other hand.
I want to ask a bit the same question, Bjorn, from a customer adoption. And basically, the notaries are customers of the federation. Yep. How do you drive this change? How do you make sure that your customers adopt to the digital transformation that you are trying to do?
Again, to clarify the context indeed, in our industry we cannot force the notaries because they're all independent, so we cannot force them to use our applications. But it all starts for me with the why. Why are you doing it? And what's the business question you would like to answer? So if you're answering the right questions, the adoption will follow. And I think that's a bit what we're trying to look at. I think technology is not a goal as such. So I like to inspire by technology what can be done. But if I'm in a dialogue with the notary office, it's always like, what question do we have? What challenge do we have? And how do we solve that challenge? I think that's a bit how we try to embrace and get it all done so far.
No, absolutely.
Yep.
So, of course, we have to talk data. I think that's one of the key topics. It was also mentioned by Anne-Sophie in her keynote. Data is everywhere. I was in Chicago last week at Microsoft Ignite, and data, AI on top of data, but data as the key foundation to drive innovation, to drive digital transformation, to offer new services is absolutely key. Maybe, Arnaud, can you talk a little bit of how data is being used at the Football Association?
Yeah, with pleasure. And data is really key and really central in our strategy at the RBFA. And why that? Because, I mean, we are really using data on three main pillars that will probably speak to you. The first one is obviously, I mean, we are a sports federation. Our goal is to win on the pitch, right? I mean, that's why we do sport, whether we are the national teams or the amateur team. And one of the first big use cases of data today is precisely that, collecting data to improve players' performance, to better scout the new talent. I mean, this is not science fiction. We are really doing that today on a weekly basis. And one of the aspects that is also extremely important on that aspect is how can we also, for instance, prevent injuries of our players when they come? How can we measure the right level of fitness of the players? And just, okay, this may surprise you, but sometimes I guess you might be surprised by the fact that some players are not on the starting 11 of a squad when the head coach announced. Sometimes it's simply because some of these players have a high risk of injury, based also that has been calculated based on the data we acquired during all the training sessions they have had before. So this is really used on the sport aspect and on the performance aspect. A second aspect where data is playing a fundamental role for us is how can we better improve the experience of attending a football game? how can we better use data to better engage with our fans? Because for us, and again, I'm going to take a very simple example, one of our big, let's say, revenue driver is when we organize, games in Brussels, right? I mean, because as you can imagine, we hope to sell as much tickets as possible. And for us, having a full stadium or a half empty or full stadium makes a huge difference, right? Because the costs are fixed. And so whatever we can do with data to better engage with our fan, to better target, profile people who might be interested to join a game. Because again, in football, the type of opponents you will be playing against will dramatically drive, the potential of your ticket sellings. The day of the week, right? If you're playing on a Tuesday evening in a cold November, or if you're playing on a Sunday afternoon in May, I can tell you this makes a huge difference. So we are using actively data to better engage with our fan to try to optimize our ticket sellings, for instance. So that's one aspect. And the third aspect, which is also extremely important and strategic for us, and maybe we'll talk about it later when we talk about AI, it's also how can we use data to facilitate the life of all the volunteers and all the people who are every weekend in the club to help organizing all these games. Whatever we can do today to automate, to use data to better facilitate the life of these people is also something extremely strategic for us. So that's a bit, the three main angles where data is actively used today at the RBFA.
In our case, we also use data in order to improve citizen satisfaction. Because in our platform, for example, we have citizen context, and based on that, we can start to proactively propose services. For example, if you come for the city of Brussels is more or less 500 products and services that we provide to citizens. And for example, if you come for something, the birth certificate or whatever, we can maybe see that your ID or your passport is out of date. And for you, proactively, thanks to the data, we can start to push, and we ask the citizen, okay, do you want me to push automatically you renewal and stuff like that. So it's really help us to really increase customer satisfaction. Yeah. So it's kind of it's parallel things.
I like the idea of using data to measure the, how do you say it, the performance of the notaries. Maybe I should introduce that in a notary.
Well, maybe.
No, but it is like that, to be honest. I think we're using data, satisfaction surveys, everything we can conduct from our clients to improve, of course, the performance. Yeah. It's not the performance of the player, of the notary itself, but of course, the performance of your process. That's also key what we try to do. So I'm just joking on that one, but good ideas to share.
Maybe we should use data to measure the performance of my sales as well. Would
and
be
if
good.
I use it to measure the performance of the administration, I don't think a lot of people are going to be happy.
So another key topic, of course, and we have to talk about it, unfortunately, I would say, is resilience, cyber resilience, risk management, threat management. We have a lot of new regulations that are actually active. Europe is at the forefront of that. Yep. Is NIS2. So I can imagine in a context as sensitive as the notary business, how are you looking at NIS2? What does it bring from a requirements perspective, and how are you addressing actually cyber resilience, if I can call it?
I'm so happy with NIS2. Probably I'm the only one. No, but I think if you see NIS2, DORA, ISO 27001, all these kind of things, I think you can look at it or it's a threat and it's a hurdle where you push back and try to push and nobody is willing to do it, or you see it as an opportunity. And I mean an opportunity to have the right conversations within your organization, because of course we are heavily regulated and everything, but again, for example, if you're doing a DRP test, resilience, we're trying to fail over the data center, of course you have to do it. You have to be trained and everything. Okay, now you have to document properly. Good, but honestly, if you follow the best practice, shouldn't you have done that already? The same if you look at all the obligations regarding if there is a data breach happening, you should report within 24 hours or 74 hours. Again, if you're putting your customer in the middle, if something is happening at the notaries, I need to report anyhow. So, for example, if the Federation of Notaries is down, I report to the board, I report to all my notaries. Shouldn't I report to my customers as well? So I don't feel that as a hurdle. And for me, the good thing is that it's opening the right debates and conversations in your organization to tackle. And the only thing I'm always trying to tell to the teams, the moments you feel uncomfortable, those are the moments you're learning the most. So I think if you're in a meeting and they're putting regulations on, this is for me the moment where I say, hey guys, let's push through, but this is where we're learning. This is where we're trying to create from a regulation, how can we transform that into a business benefit, or how can we try to find the benefits of that so far.
I can also imagine as a CIO or as a CISO, you sometimes welcome new regulations because it's an enabler for you guys to also push things through the rest of the organization or even the board. I can imagine, Régis, at the city, at our capital. How do you manage risk? It's very difficult.
Yeah, I agree with Bjorn. I mean, it helps us to raise awareness within the organization because sometimes we're really not aware about risk and about the impact, and especially in our digital journey. I mean, you expose more and more things on the internet, I would say, and so you have more and more risks. So of course, this kind of regulation help us to implement the proper procedure and to raise awareness. Also, what we also do, we put in place like benchmarks every 2 years. We assess the maturity level of security. So we assess the city of Brussels, but we also compare with peers, in Europe and also with the ecosystem. And based on that, it helps us to really invest the money on proper priority in order to focus on the proper thing. So it's also the framework, but also the assessment itself. And of course, we have other things like I think every IT operation has. So, yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the future. I think one of the key roles of a CIO is to anticipate the future. You're a sort of futurist, if I can call it like that. So maybe a question to all three of you, and I think it's very important also for the audience to a bit feel what's coming on, looking ahead. What are the key trends, Arnaud, maybe, that you see that will have a biggest impact on your sector in, let's say, the coming 3 to 5 years?
Well, I think Anne-Sophie, introduced them, I think, quite clearly. And if I look at our respective business, it's clear that the connectivity, 5G, for instance, will be a game changer for us. Because if you think about what kind of experience we could offer to a fan when they come to a big game, this could really be a very game changer in the type of experience we can offer. And I know that you guys, Proximus, as well with the city of Brussels, are really doing quite a lot of effort to help us also in this kind of things. Another very interesting trend that I see coming that will hit very hard, I think, the sports industry, is everything related to VR and AR. One of the things that is already existing today and that will be commercialized, I predict in the upcoming 2 to 5 years, are the ability to watch live games like you would be sitting on the bench. So you will just put a headset, right, on your head, and you would have the experience of actually sitting on the bench of a pitch, right? No. And this is not science fiction. It's already existing, and so bringing the stadium to the home of the people is something that will definitely come. And another very, maybe a last very strong trend that we observe in the sports industry is obviously also the usage of AI for whatever it is related to video analysis. Today you may not know it, but there are some people whose job is to actually analyze all the videos of the players. This is called a video analyst, right? So they actually analyze all the faces, and they do that either for the journalists that you see well on TV, but also for the coaches and for the trainers, right? And what we observe today is that there are some fancy capabilities that do that completely automatically, which also leads to something very interesting, the democratization of these capabilities. Because today, the fact that these capabilities are being accessible at a very cheap price makes also this accessible to any club in Belgium, which I think is also very enthusiastic.
On my side, I see two trends. The ER part, with I think in the coming months, years, it's going to be like virtual agents, with adaptive profiles, meaning like based on the context of the citizen, you're going to have a virtual agent, not like a chatbot, but a real virtual agent that's going to speak the same language, have the same affinity with the citizen, and going to be able to respond to the city of Brussels, in its proper way. And this is going to increase a lot the customer satisfaction and the reactivity of the administration. And on the other hand, also with data, because we're also doing a lot of smart city projects, like in a virtual world. You know, like you talking about virtual game. Maybe we're gonna have like virtual. The city of Brussels is gonna be virtualized. You know, and it helps politics and so on to measure and to take right decision at the right way. We have at the moment a digital twin project where we want to virtualize like one area of the city of Brussels in order to make tests and stuff like that. So this is going to really come in the coming years.
Maybe we should have a digital twin of our federal government
Yeah,
to
why not?
really see which model would work. So it's maybe an idea. Bjorn, maybe?
Yeah, I think in general, out of the industry, I think for us, I think AI and blockchain. If you look at AI, especially, I think AI is already transforming the business at the moment. We are having a few AI pilots to correct mistakes and then try to guide notaries as well to have to facilitate the work and compress the time. There we have a whole debate, AI and people, online, offline. I do believe that when you're buying a house and investing quite a lot of money, it also does feel very comfortable to talk to somebody. So technology can support the notaries in a certain stage, but at the end of the day, it's always fun to have somebody face-to-face to ask that final question. So this is how we look at it, so especially AI. On a personal level, I do believe that we're just we are on top of AI, but if you combine AI with wearables, you see these AI pins coming on the market, it will transform again. By pushing something, we can record. And if you see what Elon Musk is doing, putting AI in his robots, honestly, this is goosebumps already to have so far. So I do believe that AI with wearables and all these things, supported by, again, 5G, because they all need connectivity to interact with, will transform our lives in the coming years. And blockchain probably, if you look at the Gartner statistics, we will have a bit more time, but as well, it's looking very promising so far as well.
Okay, thank you. One last question, and you guys are all three experienced veteran CIOs, but maybe in the room we have some new CIOs that are just starting on their journey or aspiring to be a CIO. If you had one piece of advice, so 3 pieces of advice in total, what would be it to a young new CIO? Régis?
Yes, one word is really to really have a strong sponsorship, because it's a complex journey when you go for a digital plan, and you really need to have support from the business. Otherwise, it's going to be chaotic, because you're going to be in the change all the time. That's the thing.
Well, I totally agree. And for me, what is extremely important is to, and we talked about it a bit earlier, it's to really start with the why. Why are you doing this? And be crystal clear that whatever you will try to implement through your digital transformation project will effectively and truly support your real business operation and the objective of creating more value for your customer. I think that if I look at my own, let's say, strategy nowadays, what we want to do is to, for instance, make the life of all the volunteers in every club easier. So for us, our digital transformation trajectory is really how can I relieve the burden, the administrative burden of many people every weekend and replace it by smart agents or these kind of things, because that will really create a clear and direct impact on our operation. So for me, it's really making sure that you start with the why.
Good, what can I adapt? I'll try to steal a quote of one of my colleagues, being Geert van Molle, who launched his book Rebel recently, and he was all over the news, and he said, what would Elon Musk do in your industry? So my advice to all CIOs or coming on people, say, okay, try to answer that question. What would Elon Musk do in your industry or in your company? And I think there you'll find the answer on what you should do on a daily basis.
So manipulate the elections.
I leave that in the middle, but they're already nervous in the US.
I didn't say that. So all that remains for me to do is say thank you to my 3 panelists. I think it was a very interesting discussion. I hope that the audience thinks the same. And I give the word back to Pim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Round of applause. Régis, Bjorn, Arnaud, and of course, Christophe.
Bravo. Thank you so much.
What a question, huh? What would Elon Musk do? I think nobody knows. Anyway, interesting stuff, right, Anne-Sophie?
Absolutely.
And it makes us think about what's going to happen next.
So what's going to happen next? Well, you'll be free to lift yourselves up your chairs and have a coffee break. That's what's going to happen next. What you will see as well is we will start the breakout sessions in half an hour's time. The breakout sessions should be appearing on the screen, so if you want to already look at which ones you want to attend, please do so. If you feel the need to actually find out a bit more, we also have our virtual assistant, Nancy Cortega, at your disposal for answering any questions you might have. Now, there's one piece of information that I wanted to give you before you left for your coffees and breakout sessions, and that's the date of our event for next year. So the third edition of our Think Next event will be on the 27th of November, 2025. So I see already all of you pulling out your diaries and calendars and noting that down.
Go ahead. Yeah,
So
why not?
thank you very much for doing that. And in the meantime, enjoy your coffees and the rest of the sessions.
Exactly. We will be seeing each other right here at 5 o'clock. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you.